Hey guys, it's the Pig King here, and I just got done watching Jurassic World Chaos Theory Season 3. Before we begin, can we just quickly talk about how crazy this year has been for dinosaurs? We're getting a new Jurassic movie, we got more Dinosauria approaching, and we just got a new trailer for the Primitive War movie releasing later this year. So far, it's been pretty good for dinosaurs this year. And Chaos Theory is just the cherry on top, but is Season 3 any good? Or has this series officially ran out of steam? Let's take a look. Before I talk about Season 3, I need to give a quick synopsis on what I thought about the rest of the show. Season 1 was a real big surprise for me. The new inclusion of the more personal drama and the darker tone, it really stood out to me, alongside the more mysterious elements. This season was a great start to this show. I was very hooked when watching Season 1. Season 2, I was not all that crazy about. I know a lot of people were really into it, but I just couldn't get into it. Some things were nice, but I felt like a lot of the stories were either rushed or too similar to what we've seen before. I didn't hate it, just a little disappointed in the results, especially considering how much of a surprise Season 1 was. It felt like a bit of a downgrade. But what did I think of Season 3? Well, it was very rocky, like a mixed bag almost. The first few episodes were definitely not all that interesting. There were some cool moments here and there, but there wasn't really much to sink our teeth into, and it felt really reserved in a few ways, with not that much happening. We see some new characters who are a lot of fun. The mum character, who was absolutely hilarious, I love her. But outside of Bumpy's egg hatching, not a lot happens here with everyone, in terms of plot-wise. But then it started to pick back up again towards the middle of this season. We got to see much more of the drama that came with Season 1 and was missing a little in Season 2. Seeing it come back into play was a very welcomed addition. The creepy raptor lady finally returns, and she was a lot of fun to watch, with just how unnerving she was and how she just does whatever it is she does. And it's just so much fun watching her. She was a really good villain for as long as she lasted. She was really quite interesting, and they added more personal development to her despite not saying any words. It was really well handled, her story, and I was very impressed with how much they got across with her despite the very limited amount of dialogue. And speaking of development, I was really surprised with how they handled the new Blast 6, with every character having a lot going on personally, and we see them having to be pushed in several ways with very human emotions. It was very nice to see, as most shows tend to over-exaggerate things or just not acknowledge these serious issues, but thankfully they don't do that here, with a lot more personal moments for each character where we get to see more to them. But actually, they kind of did the opposite of Season 2 here, where Season 2 was very limited in terms of its personal drama. I felt like this season might have gone too far with it, to the point that it becomes practically unbelievable at points, such as with Yaz and Sammy breaking up. To me, I just don't get it, man. We've seen these two characters go through so much together and do so much for each other, that for them to just break up so fast over how to handle the Brooklyn situation, to me, felt very forced and lazy, like they wanted to have a personal conflict between the characters, but they didn't know how else to make it feel organic without forcing a breakup, because knowing these characters, they have never really fought that much. So for them to just break up instantly at the slightest fight is so stupid to me. They probably could have had it so that they were just going to take some time apart from each other with how they felt like they weren't being seen. But then they suddenly say it's not working, despite this literally being the only time we see their relationship not work. To me, it felt like their first disagreement is the one that gets them to break up. It just made no sense to me. And another big problem I have with the writing was Brooklyn. They tried to give her an arc of becoming like her boss, but it's so out of nowhere that it feels unnatural, which is a shame because that could have really worked. It sounds very interesting. Maybe having her slowly have to deal with becoming just like her boss in order to accomplish her mission as her personal drive throughout the whole season would have been very interesting and would have added a lot to her character. But for the most part, Brooklyn is the only one out of the six who really doesn't have an arc. She's doing stuff, but there's no real incentive or personal motivation behind it for us, the audience, to get invested in her story, because they don't show us anything until the last minute. And it's stuff like that that makes me wonder, what was the point in bringing her back from the dead if she's not really going to contribute much narratively aside from pushing the plot forward? And for my final complaint, a big problem I had with this season was that there wasn't many very interesting moments. Like, the Pyroraptor was very cool, and I liked the creepy moments with that, and I loved everything to do with the Raptor Lady for as long as she lasted, but outside of that, there wasn't really many outstanding moments. This season definitely felt much more slower in comparison to the last ones, where it was very fast-paced. But here, it's much more slow and could be boring at times, depending on what's going on. But it's not a bad season. Don't let my complaints fool you. This isn't a bad season. I would say it was alright. The animation, once again here, it's fine. I'm not expecting much from the series in terms of its visuals, so I'm not really going to be critiquing it on that. Because, you know, it does good enough for what it is. Actually, I'd argue that in terms of overall quality, this season was actually an improvement over Season 2. As well, yes, it was slower, it just had a lot more stuff to engage with compared to Season 2. Smoothie, as an example, was just such a nice addition, man. She was absolutely adorable and totally wasn't made to sell toys. But there definitely was a lot more meat on this season's bone, although it still isn't as good as Season 1 for me. I feel like the edge that Season 1 had is practically gone at this point, and while yes, there are some shocking moments here, they're so far and few between that besides from these very few moments, I almost forgot that this series was supposed to be darker, because it didn't do a good job at reminding us that, oh yes, this is what we could do also. But I will say, I'm definitely excited to see how this series moves ahead with the cliffhanger here, being a very interesting one with the gang on their way to Biosyn. So I'm definitely hopeful next season will be better, but I'm not going to hold my breath over it this time. I don't know. Maybe Season 1 was a bit of an accident, I don't know. But I kind of feel like the more that this series goes along, the less they know how to execute these stories. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that the next season will absolutely blow me away, because I really miss Season 1, man. But as of now, I'm a bit indifferent to this series on its future. In the end, I would still recommend it. If you enjoyed the Camp Cretaceous saga, you are definitely going to enjoy this season. But if you're looking for something just a little more meaningful, you should probably look elsewhere, if I'm gonna be honest. But what did you guys think? Did you enjoy this season? Is it your favorite season, as I've seen a lot of people saying? Or are the problems just too much for you personally? Let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm very interested to see what it is you guys have to say on this matter. And let's talk about it in the comments, whether you disagree with my takes or you agree with my takes. Also, while you're at it, be sure to like this video and subscribe. We are getting so close to hitting 10,000 subscribers. So if you want to support me and help me make videos just like this in future, then be sure to subscribe right now. And with that, peeps, it's been the Pig King here, and I will see you all next time.